So I'm doing this Harvard Classics challenge where I'm trying to read all the Harvard Classics before the end of the year. I started near the end of December, so I'm reading about a book a week. This last week I finished volume 4, which is the complete poems of Milton. I enjoyed it a lot better than I thought I would. I was a little intimidated by Milton and by poetry in general. I'm a little intimidated, and I enjoyed it a lot. There's a poem on time that I really liked that he wrote in his college years. I've always wanted to read Paradise Lost, and I got to read Paradise Lost. There's a couple of quotes I really like from Paradise Lost that I want to share. One of them is this says, "The mind is its own place, and in itself can make a heaven of hell or a hell of heaven." And I like that quote. I like that sentiment. That, we can decide whether or not we want to interpret things a certain way, and even if we're living in a wonderful place, we can think of it as a hell. And if we're living in a horrible place, we can think of it as a heaven. Most of it has to do with our attitude and our mind. The other quote that I really liked was Satan in Paradise Lost says, "Who overcomes by force hath overcome but half his foe." And I think that that's just a good point, that I think that you need to get the hearts and minds. This is kind of what we've talked about in our nation, in the United States, kind of where we failed in Iraq and in the Middle East, is we never won the hearts and minds. We overcame by force, but that's only a half victory. He who overcomes by force hath overcome but half his foe. And that spoke truth to me. Another thing that I thought was interesting is Milton, he goes blind later in life, and the last poem in here is a tragedy inspired by the Greek tragedies based on the life of Samson, where Milton writes Samson as a tragic hero. And and I could see Milton resonating with Samson, a biblical hero who is blinded. Normally when I read Samson, he's not cast in a heroic light. When I read about Samson, and if you read about him in the Old Testament and things like that, he's kind of cast as rebellious, as a bit of a sinner. Milton has him repentant, as someone who's repentant, and someone who and I think it's a good interpretation of Samson as heroic, but that's not often the interpretation that you get. So I actually really enjoyed Milton's, and I'm on to the essays and the works of Emerson, not the poems, but like speeches and things from Emerson, and I'm looking forward to it.